Hi, my name is Jackie Rodriguez, and I'm a senior at St. Thomas Aquinas High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am also an Ambassador Girl Scout working on my Gold Award. For my award, I am making a career video to help high school students get a little insight on STEM professions. Enjoy. I would like to welcome Mr. Chris Crawford. He is a graduate from University of Florida and also a mechanical engineer. Would you like to tell us what basically a mechanical engineer does?
Sure. I had a professor once that told me mechanical engineering is the basis for all career paths, and I think that's a great thing to say as a mechanical engineer. It sounds really good for yourself, but I think it's got a lot of truth to it as well. When the first caveman tied a rock on the end of a stick, that at some level was mechanical engineering, and it's kind of translated to everything else in the world. We build cars, we design bridges, we design space shuttles, everything in between.
What specifically do you do at Motorola?
I'm a senior mechanical engineer. I am a technical lead on various products, and so basically we typically split things between a management position and a technical positions. So there will be a manager on the project, and he helps coordinate many of the schedule-driven activities and everybody's day-to-day work. I typically am a technical lead on a project, which means there's several other engineers that will report to the manager, but I help guide their activities as we work on the project.
Okay. Do you think this job is what you thought it would be, or is it different than you did?
A little of both. I got into mechanical engineering because when I was a kid, I took apart all my toys and I put them back together, often missing pieces or in new configurations. And somebody along the way said, "Oh, you're going to be a mechanical engineer," and it resonated with me. But I always kind of associated mechanical engineering with inventing. I thought if I'm a mechanical engineer or an engineer, that means I'm going to be an inventor. Mm-hmm. And that's not 100% true. A lot of engineering is more about refining things and specifying things in such a way that they're reproducible and manufacturable. That's not to say there's not a creative element in it. There very much is, but I guess it didn't meet that 8-year-old view 100%, but it's still fun.
So obviously University of Florida helped you a lot in your degree. Do you know of any other universities that are good for being an engineer?
Absolutely. There's quite a few spread around the country. In the Southeast, as I mentioned earlier, Georgia Tech and Florida are probably the premier institutes in the Southeast. There are some other institutes in the area. FAU, we have a number of engineers from FAU at the company where I work, and UCF is coming along. And then, spread across the country, every state has, an engineering program, and they vary in quality. Some of the better ones are Stanford, Maryland, Michigan has a pretty good engineering program, Illinois, Purdue, so there's quite a few.
That is a lot. That's good, though.
Yeah.
About how many years did it take to complete your?
So, at University of Florida, it's actually a 5-year degree, and it varies in completion time. I completed a little quicker because I started with some high school credits, but it's generally about a 5-year degree, 4.5 to 5-year degree.
Okay. Is there any graduate school after that you need to?
I have not had graduate school. You can get a master's in engineering, and generally you specialize within the mechanical engineering field, either in mechanics, which has to do with the fields of motion, or heat transfer type applications. I stuck with my undergraduate. It's one of those fields where often experience equates to a master's degree. Mm-hmm. Okay. But a master's will get you a higher starting salary if you go straight through college and start with a master's.
Now, with that said, is it easy to find a job right out of college?
That fluctuates over the years to some degree, but it's always a field that's in pretty strong demand because it's so pervasive in society. You can work from anywhere from a toy company to, a telecommunications company to, NASA.
And do you know the average salary of a student right out of college trying to find a...
Sure, it varies by region somewhat. In this area, it runs around $60,000 roughly, and that's going to vary across the United States, probably up or down 5,000 or so, I would expect.
Okay. And how many days a week or hours a day do you usually work?
I'm a salary position. I work 5 days a week, a typical weekday work week, and hours is normally around between 40 and 45 hours a week. But when you get in crunch time on a project, it may spike up considerably. So that is a possibility.
When you have big projects like that, is there any work that needs to be taken home that you have to do sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. At times, you maybe need to come in on a weekend and get something done. I can speak for myself. I often think about things at home. Kind of can't get the work out of my head at times as you're trying to think over things that you can do the next day. So, typically, conference calls would be another thing, I guess. There can be a number of conference calls as we've gone into this global economy, and we work with overseas companies quite a bit in different time zones. Often that leads to late or early conference calls.
At work? Conference calls at work?
I do them from home frequently. I'll go home and have a conference call at 9 in the evening or something. Yeah.
And for an engineer, is there any continuing education that needs to be completed?
That can vary by company as far as requirements. There's not really any legal requirements or technical board requirements, but some companies require it, and I certainly think it's an important thing for engineers to do to stay up on the current technology and keep themselves viable as things advance in the world.
As an engineer, is it difficult to keep up with the changing technology and to learn about all the new things?
I think we're an inquisitive bunch, so we have a tendency to be attracted to new technology and some of the geekier things in life. So I don't think it's difficult. It's something that we find ourselves talking about with friends and coworkers fairly often. You may need a class here or there just to get a little bit more in-depth information, but I think most engineering jobs typically offer some sort of way to educate their employees and keep their employees up to speed.
Okay. Do you, at Motorola, interact with a lot of people, whether it be buyers or employees?
Yes. That varies by position and probably by job. But I can tell you from my job as a technical lead, probably 60-70% of my job is about communication with other people. And either trying to gather information, trying to convey information to people, or trying to coordinate different activities amongst different groups. So it's a very large part of the job.
All right. And is there any specific required dress to wear or dress code?
Again, I think it varies by exact employment company. At Motorola, we're fairly relaxed. This is kind of typical. But there may be requirements for hard hats or steel-toed boots or specific clothing in some occupations within the mechanical engineering field.
And do you know if there is more men or women in your fields?
Yeah, it's pretty heavily weighted to men. I think that's getting better. The percentages of graduating women are climbing compared to graduating men, but overall in the industry today, it's probably roughly 85% men.
Oh wow. And is there anything else that you'd like to say that we missed or didn't cover today?
Well, I want to say that it's a fun field. It really is. Creativity, I mentioned earlier that it wasn't that inventing job that I kind of envisioned as an 8-year-old, but creativity is an amazing asset to have during the job, and it's a fun thing to see other people use the products you designed, to see something you designed actually get turned into a real three-dimensional thing that you can hold. And you know, keeping an open mind is a real important part of the job. Being willing to listen to other people, be exposed to other viewpoints, and let the information sway you, rather than jump to an idea and fix on that one. So those are, you know, creativity and open-mindedness are two really good things to have as an engineer. And you know, it's my experience that the most well-rounded people are the ones that are the most successful in the field.
That was a lot. I learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie.